Devi Dasi. She grew up in ISKCON and has been part of Krishna consciousness her whole life. She had the blessing and personal association of Srila Prabhupada as a child and was initiated in 1978 at a very young age. She's a graduate of computer science from the University of Toronto and serves in various roles, including leading Shastradhan program here at ISKCON Toronto, and is part of the ISKCON North America Mentorship Initiative, Prabhupada Foundation, and Friends of the BBT. So please join me in welcoming Minakshi Devi Dasi.
Jaya Radha madhava kunja bihari gopi jana vallabha girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanajari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Prachata De Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for joining us this Sunday evening at ISKCON Toronto. We really appreciate your time. Gaura Purnima, the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is on this Thursday, March 13th. So today, we will be speaking about the mission and mood of Mahaprabhu and the reason for his appearance, why we should worship him, and how he is relevant to us today. It is by the grace of Srila Prabhupada that we're actually be exposed to Gaura Purnima, to Krishna consciousness, and that festivals and Krishna conscious discussions, events, Sunday feasts, and gatherings like ours are happening in cities, towns, and villages all over the globe. Now we know who Krishna is, right? Everybody knows who Krishna is? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then why do we have other deities on the altar? Why do we worship them? Who are they? Particularly on the leftmost altar, we have Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually Lord Krishna himself. He's an incarnation of Lord Krishna. He is known as the Channa avatar, or the hidden incarnation. You see, Lord Krishna himself appeared on this earth just over 5,000 years ago. And at that time, he performed many pastimes, vanquished many demons, and ultimately spoke the Bhagavad Gita, the 700 verses that explain to us our purpose in life, our goal in life, our duty. What should we be doing? Surrendering to the Lord, bhakti, devotional service, cultivating our relationship with Him, and ultimately ending our suffering in this world. Indeed, right in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 13 and 14, Krishna states, O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, under the protection of divine nature, they are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So Krishna imparted this instruction and so many instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, why was there a need for him to appear again? And why as Lord Chaitanya? Well, there are several reasons for his appearance as Lord Chaitanya, both internal and external reasons. Krishna states, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharvata abhyatanam adharmasya tadat manam surjamiham. That whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise in irreligion, at that time I descend. So in this case, thousands of years had passed since Krishna had appeared 5,000 years before, and society had become more and more degraded. The age of Kali Yuga had commenced, the age of ignorance, hypocrisy, envy, corruption, greed, so many sinful activities. Irreligion was taken as religion. And generally, people forgot about Krishna, what he instructed, how to live a purposeful life. And even the greatest religious scholars of that time had forgotten about bhakti, about devotion. So now there was practically no Shravanam, no Kirtanam, no chanting, hearing, glorifying the Lord's names, following what Krishna taught. Indeed, Advaita Acharya, a great Vaishnava of the time, was seeing the condition of the fallen souls, seeing that they were fully in ignorance, completely absorbed in sense gratification. And he was compassionately contemplating, how can these people be saved from the clutches of Maya? And thinking thus, he thought, if Krishna himself was to appear to teach people the practice of devotional service, then only could they be saved. And so he fervently began to sit on the bank of the Ganges and pray for months on end for Lord Krishna's appearance. And this was the first external reason, that Krishna decided himself that he would come to show by personal example how to practice bhakti yoga, how to love God, how to become devotees of Krishna. And not just any devotees of Krishna, but devotees that follow the footsteps of Srimati Radharani, who is the topmost servitor of Lord Krishna, and to emulate the gopis and the inhabitants of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Because who knows the most how to please Krishna? Who knows the most how to serve Krishna but Srimati Radharani? So Krishna comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani to awaken our loving relationship with Krishna. And in this case, he decided not to come as a teacher or an instructor like he did when he came and imparted the Bhagavad Gita, but he came as a practitioner, as a devotee of the Lord. And this form was the most merciful form, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Krishna is not a devotee. He is not a bhakta, but he appeared that way in order to teach us the practice of bhakti, to save the conditioned souls. That was his special mercy. And that was the main reason, one of the main reasons and the significances of his appearance as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, although he appears in the guise of a devotee, we should always remember that Lord Chaitanya is indeed Krishna himself, simply coming to teach us Krishna consciousness. Krishna himself states in the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti mamudha manusam thanam asritam parambhava ajananto mamuta maheshwaram. That fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So we must not foolishly think that Krishna or Lord Chaitanya are ordinary human beings. It's very important to understand that. Srila Prabhupada himself gives a very nice example. He says that Chaitanya acted just like a teacher who, when teaching a student, sees the student doing poorly and takes the pencil from the student and begins writing the A, the B, the C. But that does not mean that one must foolishly think that the teacher is learning the ABCs. The second reason for Lord Chaitanya's appearance was to establish the Harinam Sankirtan movement. That is, the congregational chanting of the holy name, the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, this was his mercy to give us an easy process to practice Krishna consciousness in this age of Kali, when things are actually very difficult. You would agree, right? Things are very difficult. We're all struggling in all aspects of life, right? So how can we take up Krishna consciousness? Well, Lord Chaitanya brought us an easy way to do so. Now, the internal reason for Lord Krishna appearing as a devotee was to relish the mellow and position of Srimati Radharani, who experiences the utmost pleasure in serving Lord Krishna. He sees Srimati Radharani doing so much service, yet she is always happy, she is always blissful, she's always in ecstasy. So Krishna thought, well, I want to experience that ecstasy, that bliss in serving me. Because although Krishna is omnipotent, he possesses all opulences, he can only marvel at the devotees' unfathomable ecstatic symptoms that they experience when they are serving the Lord, when they are loving him. So therefore, he appeared as Lord Chaitanya to accept the mood and the emotions of Srimati Radharani, to access that level of spiritual pleasure that one attains when one is a devotee of the Lord, that happiness that one attains when one performs devotional service. He wanted to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. Now, how do we know that Lord Chaitanya is indeed Krishna himself, right? Well, there is much evidence in the Vedic scriptures that state that Lord Chaitanya is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. His appearance is predicted in numerous shastras, like the Padma Purana, the Narada Purana, the Mahabharata, the Upanishads, the Skanda Purana, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Bhagavad Purana, to name a few. They mention that Krishna will appear in Kali Yuga with a golden complexion, beautiful long limbs, will conceal himself as a devotee, and will chant the holy names of Krishna. Right? We cannot just accept that somebody's, oh, I'm God, right? It is in the Shastras. For example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, it is stated that in the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. So who is this incarnation that is being referred to? It is Lord Chaitanya. And when does he appear? He appears in the age of Kali Yuga, the age that we're actually in right now. He appeared in our age. And he is accompanied by his associates, like Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit. And what weapon did he bring? This time, he did not bring a Sudarshan Chakra. He did not bring a bow and arrow. He brought the weapon of the holy name. And what would people do? They would take up the congregational chanting of the holy name. There are 4 ages that we cycle through, and each age has a different method of spiritual practice. In Satya Yuga, people would meditate. They would give up everything, go to the forest, and that would be their spiritual practice. In Treta Yuga, people would perform complex and lengthy sacrifices with many offerings, mantras, etc. And in Dwapara Yuga, people would perform opulent and elaborate deity worship. But the Lord knew that those methods are not practical in this day and age. And therefore, he gave us a spiritual method that we could practice, the Yuga Dharma for this age, whereby intelligent persons perform the congregational chanting of the Maha Mantra. So Krishna descends at various times, various ages, for various reasons, and he appeared as Lord Chaitanya 539 years ago in the year 1486 in the land of Nadia, Mayapur. This is about 130 kilometers west of Kolkata, West Bengal. And he appeared as the son of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, who are his eternal parents, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. And he appeared just after sunset on the full moon day in the month of Falguna, which happened to be in February at that time. And that day happened to have a lunar eclipse. So traditionally, on a lunar eclipse, people would go and bathe in the Ganges and chant Hari Hari. So it was in this environment, with the resounding sound vibrations of the Lord's holy names being chanted, that the Lord appeared, right from infancy. He was born under a neem tree, so his mother called him Nimai. But the great astrologer, who happened to be Sachi Devi's father, named him Vishvambar, because he could see that this was a great personality. And the ladies of the neighborhood named him Gaura Hari, because of his beautiful golden complexion. And even as a baby, he was inducing the chanting of the holy name, because the Lord would cry, and when the neighborhood ladies would chant Hare Krishna and clap, only then would he stop crying and he would smile. And so in this way, all the neighborhood ladies would assemble at the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi 24 hours a day, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is Lord Chaitanya's beginning of the Sankirtan movement in infancy as he was a baby. And his pastimes throughout his appearance as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this earth 500 years ago fulfilled the mission and the mood of his appearance. Like Krishna, Lord Chaitanya performed many pastimes. He would trick the two thieves that tried to whisk him away so that they could steal all the valuable ornaments that were adorning his body. He would eat clay. He would play with a snake in the courtyard of the house, who happened to be Ananta Shesha. He would tease the village girls. Sound familiar, right, with Krishna's pastimes? Lord Chaitanya would exhibit the mood of Srimati Radharani, one of the reasons for his appearance. When dancing and chanting, he would display so many ecstatic symptoms. The hair on his body would stand on end. Tears would flow sprouting from his eyes. He would roll on the ground in ecstasy, so much immersed in the sound vibrations of the Maha Mantra. When he would dance in front of the Rath Yatra procession, he would take on the mood of Srimati Radharani, like when she came to see Lord Krishna in Kurukshetra after years and years and years of separation. And her mood was to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan. That was Lord Chaitanya's mood. In relation to the mission of his appearance, he emphasized that chanting the holy name is the Yuga Dharma, the prescribed method for spiritual advancement for this age. He opened the storehouse of the love of God that was previously locked up and gave it freely to everyone. And what was this jewel that was locked up in the storehouse? He simply said, chant the holy names of Krishna. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatir anyata. That in this age of Kali, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy names, chanting the holy names, chanting the holy names of Lord Hari. It is repeated 3 times so that we can understand the importance. We can take it to heart and actually follow it. And he showed by example and by instructing his associates and disciples to share this with others, not just keep it for themselves. Once, when the Sankirtan movement had just started, the devotees would assemble at the house of Srivas Pandit, an associate of Lord Chaitanya. And there they would chant loudly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, accompanied by the beating of the mridanga drums and the clashing of the kartals. And people from other faiths would get very agitated. So they went and complained to the magistrate of that district, Chand Kazi. And they said that they're making all this sound. So the Chand Kazi decided that I'm going to go see for myself. So one day he came there and witnessed the sound vibrations of the holy name, the blowing of the conch shells, the beating of the instruments. And he said to the group, he said that how, after so long, you have not been following your religion's prescribed duties, your regulated principles, and now suddenly you're chanting? On whose strength are you doing so? And he said, henceforth, if you do any Sankirtan in Navadvip, I will arrest you, I will confiscate all your property, and I will convert you to Islam. And saying this, he crashed a mridanga to the ground and went home. So the next morning, the devotees went and informed Lord Chaitanya about what had happened. Lord Chaitanya became very angry, and with a glance like lightning and a voice like thunder, he called Nityananda Prabhu and said, "Call all the Vaishnavas here. We are going to organize a huge Sankirtan in the streets of Navadvip." And he organized everyone in groups, each group having 4 mridanga players, 16 karta players, a very experienced kirtan leader, and thousands of devotees and Vaishnavas dancing and chanting. And they went through the city of Navadvip, passing ghats along the banks of the Ganges, and they approached the house of the Chand Kazi. And as they were doing so, the Chand Kazi could hear this tumultuous sound, and he sent his spies, "Go see what is going on." Spies went, and they saw miles and miles and miles of devotees, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra roaring. And they became became afraid and scared. They ran back to the Chand Kazi and said, "You better flee. You better run away." And the Chand Kazi became very fearful himself. He became shaking, and he went inside his house and hid in a corner. In the meantime, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda appeared with the whole chanting party in front of his house. And Lord Chaitanya roared like a lion and said, "Where is that miscreant, the Chand Kazi? Where is he hiding? How dare he stop my Sankirtan movement? How dare he obstruct the reason that I came to propagate this Sankirtan movement, and I appear in the chanting of the holy name. So when anyone chants, I am appearing. Bring that rascal out to me right now, and if anybody stands in my way, I will destroy them." So Lord Chaitanya was really, really angry. So some devotees fell down at the Lord's feet and said that this appearance, the reason you came, you were very compassionate. This is your most merciful form. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya calmed down a little bit, and the Chand Kazi came out shaking in fear and bowed down to Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya and the Chand Kazi had a discussion about the Quran and the Shastras, and the Chand Kazi accepted the arguments and became a devotee himself. And then Lord Chaitanya asked the Chand Kazi that yesterday you stopped my Sankirtan movement, you broke a mridanga, but today you didn't do anything. Why is that? The Chand Kazi explained that when I came home and I went to sleep, I had a dream. And this ferocious personality came to me in my dream. He had the body of a human, but the face, the head of a lion. And he had frightful teeth and elongated nails. And he said to me that if you ever obstruct the Sankirtan movement again, you will be punished with death. And then, with his nails, he scratched my body. And then he exposed his chest to the devotees and Lord Chaitanya. And the devotees could understand that this was actually Lord Nrsimhadev that had appeared to him. And then the Chand Kazi, with tears in his eyes, said that I promise you, I make a vow that I and none of my family will ever stop the Sankirtan movement now or in the future. And when he said that, Lord Chaitanya and the devotees chanted Hari Hari. And that was the inauguration of the public Sankirtan movement by Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, when he came, he gave us the highest level of Krishna consciousness. He expounded 3 principles of spiritual knowledge. One was nama ruchi, attachment to the chanting of the holy name. The next, jiva doya, being compassionate to all living beings. And the third, Vaishnava seva, serving Krishna's devotees with love. He encompassed everything in those 3 principles. Krishna is merciful, but Srimati Radharani is even more merciful. Sometimes Krishna is hesitant to accept a devotee. Maybe they're not perfect. But Srimati Radharani has a soft heart. As she says to Krishna, accept him, he's a good devotee. And because Radharani has said so, he accepts that request and accepts the devotee. And it is this combination of Krishna, who is all-powerful with all potencies, and the mood of Srimati Radharani, who is all-merciful, the merciful servitor of the Lord, that is Lord Chaitanya. It is with this combination of power and mercy that Lord Chaitanya delivers the fallen souls through the process of Krishna Prema with Harinama. That is the identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is non-different from Krishna, but comes in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the foremost devotee, to inspire everyone to take up Krishna consciousness, to constantly think of Krishna, chant the holy names of the Lord. That was his compassion to all the living souls. He was so merciful that he gave us Krishna Prema. Not just Krishna Prema where we get the knowledge that we must love Krishna and Krishna loves us, but that we must also love Krishna's devotees. And we must also love those trying to become Krishna's devotees, those trying to become attached to Krishna. And we must love all those that Krishna loves. What does that mean? That means we must love everyone, right? We must see everyone as spirit souls, no matter their caste, their creed, their background, their faith, their educational status, right? Everyone must be treated equal. And how can we be truly compassionate to these souls? By spreading the names of Krishna, sharing the names of Krishna, chanting them, telling people to chant. Lord Chaitanya's teachings are extremely relevant to us today. He gave many verbal instructions to his disciples, to his servants, to his associates. He certainly demonstrated by example, but he also wrote 8 verses himself, only 8 verses, known as the Shikshastakam. And these 8 verses encompass the essence of the Sankirtan movement. They glorify the process of chanting the holy names and the benefit of chanting them. How continuously chanting the holy name cleanses our heart of dirt that is accumulated lifetime after lifetime. How this is the most beneficial for human society. How this process extinguishes the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And how we should perform devotional service. What our mood should be. What our characteristics should be. Right? It's one thing to chant, but how is our mood? Are we humble? Are we not? He taught us how to treat each other, how to respect each other, how to serve the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord, and not to offend, insult, or hurt them. He instructed that we should respect others, but not expect respect from others. He taught us to root out our envy. He taught us to be humble, humbler than a blade of grass, to be tolerant, more tolerant than a tree. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, to be compassionate to all living souls. This is how we can become valuable to Lord Chaitanya. We can chant the holy names, but must also distribute the holy names. Haridas Thakur, a wonderful devotee of the Lord, would chant 300,000 names of the Lord every single day. And on top of that, he would distribute this formula to others. He would go with Nityananda Prabhu to door to distribute this. And he would get insulted and ridiculed, but yet he kept going. He displayed the utmost of humbleness and respect and tolerance to others, encompassing everything that Lord Chaitanya taught. And Lord Chaitanya stated that everything that exists in the universe does not have the value of one devotee like Haridas Thakur. So we should follow the footsteps of such great devotees like Haridas Thakur and of course Srila Prabhupada. That is the way to make our lives successful. Lord Chaitanya is glorified throughout the Shastras, glorified by the Vaishnavas and by the Acharyas. Indeed, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet are described as the eternal object of meditation, the destroyer of the insults of material life, the awarder of the greatest desires of the soul, the shelter of holy places and saintly people, worthy of surrender, the reliever of the distress of devotees, the protector of those who simply bow down, and the boat to cross the ocean of material existence. And his beauty and characteristics are also described in the Shastras. His body is fair and long. His arms reach up to his knees. His form is as beautiful as Mount Sumeru. His complexion is like molten gold. His eyes are like lotus flowers. His nose is like a sesame seed. His face is as beautiful as the moon. His body is always decorated with sandalwood paste. He is lovelier than millions of cupids. He is mellower than millions of moons. He is kinder than millions of wish-fulfilling trees. He is deeper than millions of oceans. He is sweeter than millions of nectarian drinks. And he is the vanquisher of unhappiness and distress. And Srila Rupa Goswami prays. He states, Namo Maha Vadanyavaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Tavashnamaha. He declares that Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful, the most munificent incarnation of Lord Krishna, the rarest of all incarnations. Why? Krishna Prema Pradayate. You are directly giving love of God. You have no other purpose. Your process is so nice that anyone can immediately learn to love God. And he says, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane, that you are Krishna, but you have assumed the name Krishna Chaitanya. I surrender unto you. So we are so fortunate that Lord Chaitanya came only 500 years ago. The holy places that he performed his pastimes are still there today. Mayapur, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri. You can still physically go there. Go to these dhams and experience that mercy for yourselves. We are even more fortunate that Srila Prabhupada exposed Lord Chaitanya and his teachings to us, gave us the opportunity to take advantage, get the benefit of Lord Chaitanya's appearance and his instructions. And he brought us the Chaitanya Charitamrita that we can relish, that speaks to all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, all his examples and all his instructions. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita states that Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears the narration of his birth, and that such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. We all want that, right? So if you want that, please take these instructions of Lord Chaitanya's teachings to heart. Please incorporate them in your devotional service. Practice devotional service. Chant the names of the Lord. Immerse them in your lives. And in this way, you will have a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will thank Minakshi Mataji one more time with huge Hari Bol. Hari Bol! I'm so sorry, apologies. I was supposed to do the introduction for her as well. And it's my misfortune that I couldn't do it. I got delayed. But I was just speaking with another devotee and I said, and he was asking me, he said, I was telling him, I'm running late and it's the session today and I was in a different part of the city. And he said, who's the speaker? And then I told Minakshi Mataji. And he said, why do you have to introduce her? Everyone knows her already. She's born and raised in ISKCON. And that's the fact, you know. She's actually an ISKCON kid with Shopilas Prabhu and, you know, whole generation and then raising 3 kids, Krishna conscious kids. I always embarrass them by looking at that this way. So thank you, Mataji, for your time. Thank you for all the wonderful services. And I hope it was a very enriching